afternoon, and thank you all for joining us here this afternoon for this exciting event. UMass Amherst, like many other institutions in the Commonwealth, particularly in the 2nd District, Congressional District, is so fortunate to be represented in Washington by Chairman Jim McGovern and Senator Ed Markey. And we're thrilled that they're both on our campus today. In many ways, we're still recovering on this campus and in the rest of the country from the pandemic. However, we made it this far because at our lowest point, when our campus and others around the country were dealing with an unprecedented public health and fiscal crisis, the federal government, led by Congress, stepped up with 3 tranches of funding to stabilize higher education and avoid mass layoffs. The Massachusetts delegation led the way in those efforts, ensuring that our campus received stabilization funds that were also then made available to our undergraduate and graduate students. Through their efforts, our students continued their academic progress without interruption. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Senator, for your leadership. UMass Amherst, as a model land-grant institution of the Commonwealth, contributes to the success of Massachusetts through education, research, engagement, and economic vitality. Fundamental to this work is the unwavering belief that every student should have access to the transformative power of the UMass experience. Chairman McGovern and Senator Markey share in this belief and have devoted their professional lives to championing equity and access for all. And the funds that we are here to talk about today speak volumes of their commitment to and leadership in equity. Without further ado, it's now my pleasure to introduce Senator Ed Markey. Senator Markey, an attorney by trade, has served Massachusetts in Congress since 1976. He's an international leader in energy, environmental protection, and telecommunication policy, and has led the Senate efforts to pass the New Green Deal. He serves on the Senate committees on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, Foreign Relations, Environment and Public Works, and Small Business and Entrepreneurship. The Senator is also an avid sports fan who enjoys professional and collegiate level of competition. He is a double Eagle, having earned both his undergraduate and law degree from Boston College. I guess no one is perfect. Senator, thank you for your being with us today, and welcome back to your flagship campus. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor, so much, and thank you for the great leadership which you provide for our flagship University of Massachusetts institution. And thanks to everyone who has joined us today. I see Representative Mindy Dom over there. Thank you for coming, Representative. Thank you for your great work. To Representative Natalie Blay, I saw her a second ago. Thank you so much for coming, Representative. And we also, we're going to be joined by Lindsay Sabadosa at a certain point. There she is back there. Thank you, Lindsay. And I know that Senator Joe Comerford wanted to be here, but the Senate is in session up in the State House. So we're celebrating a great thing today. And it's great to be out here in Amherst. And I know how much Amherst cares about climate, because about 3 years ago, I had a climate summit out here, and 1,000 people came for 2.5 hours to have a discussion about climate. And that's just the people who could get in the door. So that's where we are. We have just an incredible interest in that issue out here. And that's why Jim McGovern and I are thrilled to announce $995,000, which will come to the University of Massachusetts Amherst in order to study climate. And that money that Congressman Mcgovern and I worked to insert with Senator Warren into the federal budget this year is really going to be well spent out here at UMass. And it's part of $140 million that we were successful in inserting into the federal budget, the Massachusetts delegation, for projects all across the state. And we think that we know best. And if people said to us, well, you have all this money, what would you spend it on? Oh, one of the things we said was, how about $1 million for UMass for climate, okay? And so we don't need anyone else to help us to figure that out. And so this money is going towards the Energy Transition Institute, and the funding will aid ETI in interdisciplinary climate research, engage communities that have been disproportionately impacted by the effects of climate change, and educate the next generation of leaders in the clean energy economy, from developing a community-based energy transition framework for Holyoke, to future-proofing the electric and broadband infrastructure in Shrewsbury. ETI is co-creating with local partners to develop climate solutions that are equitable and just. We have to continue to strive to create a clean energy future that leaves absolutely no one behind. And it's well past time. It's well past time that we engage in a full and fast transition to a clean energy economy, and that's what this funding is all aimed at achieving. So we're at a critical juncture. We have to get this done. The planet is running a fever. There are no emergency rooms for planets. So we have to engage in preventative care and ensure that we provide all of the resources to all of the communities that want to respond to this existential threat to the planet. Boston Harbor is the second fastest warming body of water on the planet after the Arctic. We are part of this crazy chemistry test that the oil and gas and coal industry have been conducting for our planet. We're right at the epicenter of it, and we don't have an option. 3 years ago, I introduced the Green New Deal with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And people said to me, well, why are you doing that? It's like socialism, the Green New Deal. And if you watch Fox News, they do it on every program, every night, even right now. It's all about the Green New Deal, being socialism. And what I say is, you know, for 100 years, the oil and gas and coal industry received tax breaks, and still do, from federal taxpayers. And I don't know what to call that, but it looks like socialism. And if you give us some of that socialism for wind and solar and all electric vehicles and battery storage technologies and community-based conservation and renewable projects, we will bury the fossil fuel industry within a generation. But we have to unleash the young talent in our country so that we reduce greenhouse gases, put to work millions of people with good union, clean energy jobs, ensure that a disproportionate amount of the funding goes to environmental justice in those communities which have always been most adversely impacted by climate change and environmental injustice, and to do it right now, because young people already know the answer. They already know that the preceding generations have not answered this problem correctly. And so it's up to all of these incredibly creative, idealistic, brilliant students at UMass to be given the resources they need in order to begin in Holyoke, to begin with the problems in the communities that have always been most adversely impacted, but in those solutions to apply them to everyone. So for me, it's just been a great honor to represent the University of Massachusetts, and the Energy Transition Institute is just absolutely properly named, an energy transition to a new world, to a new way of providing the energy that we need for our society. So it's just an honor to be here with you, and everything that you do, I know, is always centered in justice for everyone in our society, because we know that black and brown and immigrant communities have always been disproportionately impacted. When I was a boy growing up in Malden, the Malden River was 4 blocks from my house. And the coal companies, the chemical companies, all of them right along the Malden River, using it as a big sewer. And you know you're not Huckleberry Finn on the Mississippi. When your mother says to you when you're 10 years old, whatever you do, Eddie, do not swim. Because it was black with a kind of a pre-Jimi Hendrix purple haze. So it was kind of an early message to me that a lot of these companies were getting away with things that really they should have never been allowed to do. And it's always, it seems, the blue-collar communities that suffer, right? And that's really what your program is all about, rectifying those historic injustices. And again, it's just an incredible honor for me to partner with the great Jim McGovern, with this incredibly great visionary congressman who always puts the people first. Always stands up for justice, always stands up for those most deserving of the help of the federal government. We were at Union Station in Worcester today celebrating a $3 million grant for food programs for those most in need. And today, on the same day, we're over here at UMass. And in each instance, the great Jim McGovern is there in the leadership role. So thank you, Jimmy, and thank you for everything.
Thank you very much for all that you do on behalf of all of us and the Commonwealth and the country in Washington. I have to tell you also that, led by our students, we have a vision for a fossil fuel-free energy consumption on our campus in 10 years, and we'll be talking to you about how to make that happen. It's now my distinct pleasure to welcome back to campus our dear friend, Congressman Jim McGovern. Since first being elected in 1996, Congressman McGovern has risen to become a leading member of Congress. He's chair of the powerful House Rules Committee and a senior member of the House Committee on Agriculture Subcommittee on Nutrition and Oversight. The recent national discussion he led on food insecurity on college campuses made it all the way to the White House. This is an issue we deal with every day, and we greatly appreciate his efforts. Congressman, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your steadfast support of your flagship campus.
Well, let me say thank you to Chancellor Subaswamy for his leadership and his friendship. And I want to thank other members of the university, students, faculty, administrators, for always welcoming us here, and for always being innovators. I mean, I come here and I learn something new and exciting in every visit, and I really appreciate that, because this is a happening campus that is leading the nation in so many areas. And it is great to be here with Senator Markey, who is an incredible partner in Washington, but an incredible leader on so many of the issues that I know so many people who are gathered here today care deeply about. And like him, I also want to acknowledge Representative Mindy Dome and Representative Natalie Blais and Representative Lindsay Sabadoza. We work with all of them very closely. You know, they are our partners in the state legislature, along with Senator Comerford. And we're so grateful to be able to have the privilege to work with all of them. And I thank you, and I know Senator Markey thanks you for sending them to Beacon Hill, because they're so vitally important. I love coming on this campus. You know, we parked in the garage, and I walked over here, and I got an education just by walking over here. Encountered a little protest, but also I encountered students, you know, who are raising money for Ukrainian children. And so they said, well, I hope you can help the Ukrainian children. So I felt guilty walking away. I went back over, made a donation. I was going to buy a cookie. I ended up buying a bracelet for my daughter. But these are students who actually are from Ukraine, you know, who are, you know, horrified at what they're witnessing, worried about their families and their friends and their loved ones, and they are here raising money to help Ukrainian children. And it really, you know, with all the awful things that are happening, I mean, those are the kinds of things that give you great hope about the future. And those are the kinds of students that this campus attracts. So Senator Markey talked about the nearly $1 million that he led the effort to secure going to the Energy Transition Institute, and will support energy transition research fellowships for graduate and postgraduate students and focus on developing an equitable energy transition framework in Massachusetts gateway cities. And you know, we are so proud to be able to make that announcement here today. And I can't think of anybody better to make that announcement initially than Senator Markey, who has been a leader on the climate well before anybody was focused on it. And I just want to get some bragging rights here. I joined him at the Green New Deal press conference when he announced it as a co-sponsor. And when people say want to say it's socialism or whatever, I'm looking at this one. I think it's revolutionary. And it is what we have to do. If anybody has any doubt that we need to commit ourselves to a cleaner, greener future, look at what we're going through now as a result of the war in Ukraine, plus the greed of the fossil fuel industry, who are just gouging Americans at the gas pump and their heating bills. We need to make this transition, and UMass is going to help lead the way. But you know, but we want to make another announcement too. In addition, because we're not here just to announce $1 million, we're really here to announce $2 million. UMass is going to also get $1 million of federal funding to expand their robotics programming in the Manning College of Information and Computer Sciences, and increase access specifically for women and other underrepresented student groups to degree programs in computer science or informatics through scholarships. And I could not be more excited to see areas like these spotlighted and receive a massive investment. Robotics and computer science skills are a critical need for today's employers. This funding helps ensure every student has the chance to join in on a quickly growing field and make their mark on the world in a challenging and rewarding career. But they're not stopping there. The college will expand its outreach to middle schools and high schools, inspiring younger students to pursue a degree in the sciences. And so that is all wonderful. And I just want to close by saying that we know that UMass Amherst has some of the best faculty, some of the best staff, and the best students, not only in the nation, but in the world. And this federal funding will take the quality education provided here to the next level with both of these grants. You know, as I said before, every time I come here, I learn about something new, something on the cutting edge that is happening here. And I just want to tell you this as an aside. You know, it's been hard to get that kind of federal investment, especially for institutions like UMass, because congressionally, you know, mandated funding hasn't existed for a long time. Some idiot in Congress decided that we shouldn't do that anymore, that some bureaucrat can make decisions, you know, on how this money should be spent. We finally brought it back, and I hope it's here to stay. But as a result of that, we could direct these monies right here. Because we know the quality research that's going on at this institution. So, you know, this is a good day. It's a great day to celebrate. Happy to be with all of you. I'm happy to see you in person. I'm so sick of Zoom. I don't know what it is, but I can't end but without saying that I also have a special regard for UMass Amherst, because this is the alma mater of my wife Lisa, and she's the smartest person in the world, and so I know she received that education here. But thanks ever so much for having us, and again, let's all celebrate. Thank you.
Senator Markey, Chairman McGovern, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for fighting the good battle, and thank you for the earmarks that are really enhancing our commitment to diversity in so many ways, and commitment to diversity and equity in so many ways. Thank you both, and thank you all for being here. Thank you.
We don't call them earmarks anymore.
My bad. I'm so old that,